So this is the timeline of the event starting from May 25th when George Floyd was murdered, and the evolution of the protests in DC through the BLM protest, through the election, when we got rid of the former person, and then when we decided the inauguration, and then we decided to take down the artifacts off of the fence because we couldn't protect it anymore, and we went in, and then this end here tells you when we got together with the four major institutions, the Library of Congress, Enoch Pratt, DC Public Library, and Howard University, to preserve the entire collection, which is about 1,600 pieces.
And this is only a sample.
Oh yeah, this is just a sample. These are the actual items that were on the fence. I didn't expect it to be here, but it makes sense because you really couldn't get a facsimile of this to make it feel like how it was you coming to visit the fence. So it makes sense that they have the actual. So this particular one here, this one has a long history. This was on the first fence. When they took it, the first fence came down in a week. When they took it down, I took this home with me, and then I brought it back to the second fence. It went through all the vandalism, all the three major vandalisms in October, in November, and December, and it managed to survive. So this is the story of survival on that fence.
So it looks like it's made out of some type of a board,
Foam, yes, something
a foam board,
yes,
and spray painted with a spray can.
Right.
And then taped, and then it looks like it's been burned.
It's been broken, it's been taped back together.
Very symbolic of what happened down there.
Exactly. It definitely tells the story. Now this one, I personally put this up here. I personally, when this used to say racist symbols matter, we were off of the plaza from January 4th to January 22nd. Within 2 hours of the fence being open to the public, somebody destroyed it. Within 2 hours of the fence. So I knew that if we weren't there protecting this stuff, they would have all been destroyed.
What does the symbolism of this display say about America to you?
Well, with America, we haven't gotten anywhere in 402 years since people were brought here against their will, without their permission. In the 404 years since then, nothing in this country has really changed. I mean, it has changed, but it hasn't changed enough where it matters to the life of people, black and brown people in this country. That we are still here in 2020 crying and protesting and asking people to give us some dignity, for our life to mean dignity, and that black debt is not normalized. That if you see that a black person was killed by police, that you can have some sympathy and compassion for that person, or that person was automatically think that person was a criminal, instead of saying, okay, the person made a mistake, but it's not up to the police to be judge, jury, and executioner of that person. The person should get a trial. So for you to have no compassion for this person, even if the person did commit a crime, for you to say, oh, well, he was a criminal, so it doesn't matter that the police kneeled on his neck and was pumping for 9 minutes and 25 seconds. So the
8 minutes and 46.
Well, the 8:46 is what we initially thought, but it actually ended up being 9 minutes and 25 seconds. So it's longer than the 8:46. Yeah, and he was just there, callously pumping on this man's neck and back, and then for people in this country to watch the video of that, him doing that, and say, oh, well, no, he was a criminal, so it doesn't matter that he died because he shouldn't have been committed. Well, he wasn't committing a crime because they didn't find supposed counterfeit money that they thought that he was spending. But it doesn't matter. The police is not the judge, jury, and executioner. That's not their job. I made this into sections, right? So these are the random, all these different people who died at the hands of police, right? These are the names that they gave you, the day they were born, the day they died. Okay? These are the women, these are the locals. But this section here for me is the most important part. You know why? These are 20 people who should have never, ever been killed by the police. Somebody called a welfare check on her, died. Somebody called a welfare check on her, died. he was eating ice cream in his apartment. The police officer killed him. He pulled out back in 1999. Is it 1999? I think it's 1999. He was shot 41 times by the police in New York when he pulled out what would have been a wallet. They shot him 41 times. And somebody I personally think that they could justify the police shooting at him 41 times. That is what is wrong with America. 7 years old, she was in her apartment. The police was looking for somebody else and they shot into her apartment dead. Tamir Rice, within 3 seconds of pulling up on him in Ohio, which is an open carry state. So even though you see somebody in Ohio with a gun, the onus is on the police to find out if this person has a legal authority and right to carry the gun. Why would you, as soon as you pull up in your car, open the door and shoot somebody, regardless of who it is, but he ended up being a 12-year-old child with a toy gun? Laquan McDonald, they tried to cover this up in Chicago. He was a good guy with a gun. He got killed on Thanksgiving Day in a mall. I think it's a Thanksgiving Day or wrong Thanksgiving in a mall because he was a good guy with a gun. A black guy with a gun, so they decided that he was the criminal, not the actual criminal. This is remember that he said why? You know, because all he was doing was walking with a backpack and somebody told that he was weird. That somebody told he was being weird, so the police encountered him and next thing he's dead. Him. Modern day lynching. This is what people got away back in the day. They see somebody doing whatever he is doing and they decided that they're gonna go, decide that you can't be here. And he decided, who are y'all? I don't know who y'all are. So, and then they shot him and they got away with it for 3 months before one of the people who was responsible thought by leaking the video was somehow going to help them. In this particular case, it didn't. But if that person didn't leak that video, his death would have been one of the many black people in this country who died at the hands of police because the guy, was an investigator for the DA's office. So that's why, the DA and them didn't even want to investigate the case. So this section for me is the most important. But none of these people should be dead.
All these lives matter, though.
Yes,
I mean, it's horrendous, and this is only a sample of what's been going on in this country.
Since they brought us here, this is the oldest person, and this is the youngest male victim. The oldest male victim, the youngest male victim. Okay, so Sylville Smith, his family had put his story on the fence before October. And in October, when the fence was vandalized, they just happened to be visiting DC again because they came, I guess, to see if what was happening with the fence, and they realized that his photo wasn't there, and they paid me $20 to go make a copy and put his story back on the fence. That's how important that they thought it was, and they visited from Minnesota, so people were coming to visit, and it was important.
This is historical monument, in effect.
Yeah.
And that fence was up there for many months,
for 8
almost.
months.
Yeah.
So there
months.
were 2 fences. The first fence was put up on the 2nd of June, and it came down on the 11th of June. And then the BLM protesters tried to bring down the Andrew Jackson statue on June 22nd. They closed off the whole area. They pushed us out to I Street, and then on the 24th of June, the second fence came up and it stayed there through May 10, 2021.